Thank you for joining the Kentucky Couples Travel Podcast. We're back. Season number 2. Been a while. Lots been going on since the last one.
Yep.
A lot in our life. We've done a lot of traveling and have a lot more coming up. We just wanted to kind of get back in the swing of this. It's been something we really enjoy doing, sharing our journeys with you, both where we've been, the traveling we've been doing, and also some of you, maybe a couple, may see this coming across YouTube. We're videoing this. It's also going to be out, as you know, on all the podcast platforms. But I've noticed just a trend in the podcast that I listen to. The numbers seem to be going down. We want as many people to hear this as possible, and so more and more are going to podcasts on YouTube. So I think that's a market they could dominate in the future. And I also think when we're talking about travel, there's a lot of things to see that we talk about. So we want to incorporate that as well, not just sitting here looking at us. So I guess we'll go ahead and start just our life first. It's been about a year and a half since we've done a podcast, and
I can't believe it's been that long.
And I'm going to say it's probably been the most hectic year and a half
Somewhat
of our
difficult.
life. Yeah, I would say the most difficult year and a half of our life without question. So, Whit, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you for just a moment if you want to just talk a bit about what we've been going on. Where we left off, I know most of you that's listening to this, at least here at the beginning, will know we went through or attempted to go through the process of adoption. That's kind of been the focal point of our life for the last little bit. And I think when the last episode we done, that's what we talked about. Hey, we're starting down this journey. It's kind of what we closed talking about, how we closed out season 1. So now we're in season 2, and we're still in the middle of that journey. Hopefully the end is in sight, but it's been, I think, a more difficult process than we thought.
More than I've ever imagined.
Yes. So I guess go ahead and say we've had 2 failed adoptions.
Yes.
That has been heartbreaking. It's been very difficult, and it's still fairly fresh. The last one just in the last 3 weeks. So it's something it's difficult to talk about. It's difficult to talk about when it's just us.
Yeah.
In private, it's kind of a difficult subject, and but I know a lot of people have questions. So we want to touch on that just really quick. That's not going to be the bulk of kind of what we're going to talk about tonight, but we do want to touch on that just to let you know where our life's been and what's been going on. So you want to kind of summarize it a little bit, and I'll jump in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as you know, we started in 2022 the process of paperwork and home studies. We thought for sure that it would be quick and easy once you got your home study done. We thought that money and funds would be issues for us, and we were lucky and blessed that we had so many people come together and help us. We had a lot of people volunteering, raising money. It went pretty smooth, actually.
Yeah, when they told us, 30 to 60,000 is kind of the average. I think I was thinking the lower end of that would be a higher end adoption. And I think going in, I thought that would be the difficult thing. We had some money in savings, a good portion of that. Then we did some fundraisers that were great. Our church and our families has been such a blessing. Our coworkers, everybody, our friends, they really went above and beyond for us. We had some donations we were able to raffle off and just had a good experience with that. That was great. And we got some grants.
Yeah.
And we thought that would be the biggest hiccup, but
it wasn't.
It wasn't.
So we went through that. It took us, it was the fall of 22 when we actually were home study approved in like October. We started the fundraising, grants, all that stuff. When those came in about, I think, February of that following 2023.
Yeah.
And that's when we were able to start putting in for cases. And for some people that don't know, we get like a birth mother will go to an agency and they'll say, I want to do an adoption for my child, and they'll put what they want, what they're looking for, and then that gets sent out to people who are families that are ready to adopt. So we were able, and then like we would just put in for those if we saw one that matched our criteria too and our funds and everything. We would send it to our agency, who would get us in contact with that agency, and they would show our profile, which is a book all about our life, to that birth mother, and she'll probably see she was most birth mothers see probably on average it could be 5 to 50 or more, or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of people that's in the adoption that's waiting, families just like us for adoption, that we did not realize how many people were out there looking as well.
No.
And we didn't realize, which is something we had no clue about until we got into it. But we probably put in about 20 some to 30 cases that we were getting in from all over the United States until we put in for one, and we were actually chosen by a birth mother. And then it went from there. We were chosen in April, and the baby was due in September. And we were supposed to be traveling 2 weeks before the baby was born, so we could make sure we were there at the birth. That birth mother had told us she wanted us to be there during the birth, and so we went 2 weeks early. Everything seemed to go good. We had a good relationship with her. We talked to her daily. A lot of things happened that shouldn't have happened. A lot of things went south that shouldn't have went south. Things were going on, but we won't get into all the details of how terrible it was and how much more support we should have received from the agency. But that's another story for another time. But we put up quite a bit of money, and we go down there and we spend quite a bit of money with her and different people, and then the baby's born. We're in I was in the delivery room and cut the cord. We took care of her and the baby in the hospital
for 3 days.
Give her anything she asked for. Handed our stuff freely to her, card, money, food, whatever she needed. We even offered that we would, let her keep the baby in her life too. Like, we were going to keep her updated.
The plan was visits once a year.
And it was going to be an open adoption and everything. So we thought everything was fine.
Yeah, and we had those, I thought, honest, difficult conversations. And, she didn't seem to hide her feelings. I didn't hide mine. And I know you didn't hide yours.
No.
I would ask her, I'd say, are you still feeling good about this?
And we wanted to make sure she wanted to. And we asked her several times. She said she did want to. She just was not in a place financially and physically, mentally to care for her child. That's what she told us. And that we would be caring for the child, and we would still have her involved. That we were not going to take the child away from her or anything. No. We had a great relationship. It was established. We done a lot for her. I felt like she was out. Well, we thought it was. Felt like she was family. Actually, we got pretty close to to her.
I mean,
I was talking to her every day.
A lot,
and sometimes an hour longer at a time on the phone. But so after the baby's born, we're at we stayed at the hospital, taking care of everybody, and she asks us if she could take the baby home and let it meet the family before we leave, and the baby's gone out of the state. And so we
talked with the agency that we were working with down there. Now, when we're talking the agency now, we're not talking about the agency we're working with here. Adoption assistants that did our home study and we're working with still has been fantastic.
Yeah, they're fantastic. They've helped us so much. I won't even mention this agency. No. It was an outside agency that was chosen by that birth mother.
We never met them. Yeah. They went to the hospital or anything, and so we would text them, and there would be sometimes a day before our agency would text us back.
Yeah.
And so we asked them, is this normal? She's wanting to take the baby home from the hospital. She's told us just a couple hours max, and that say bye to the family, let them at least see the baby, and then.
And we couldn't have said no anyway because she had legal rights to her. We had no legal rights to the child.
In Louisiana, she could sign her rights over 72 hours after it was born. So it was going to be the next day after it left the hospital was the plan.
Yeah, so we had no choice in the matter, but we were fine with it. We were trying to be as good to her as possible.
Yeah, and that agency said, it's not common, but it does happen, and, that's not a reason to, worry.
So we just kind of went on. We go leave the hospital. We get her stuff, take care of her, make sure she's got gas in her car, get her going. We go eat. We wait hours. Hadn't heard from them. Wait some more, few more hours. Hadn't heard from them. And then she messages us, and she's having some issues with the birth father, and she says, "I'll be there soon." We don't hear from her.
Her older kid's bus broke down.
Yeah, just stuff. It was stuff all afternoon, and it was like 2:30 to 3 o'clock
slept
in the morning.
really almost in days because
Yeah.
we'd been up with her. Like,
at the hospital.
essentially, we were kind of like her butler and maid.
Pretty much. So just being honest.
Her beck and call.
We were
and,
at her beck and call.
Yeah, and
Trying to be as good as we could.
yeah, and because you want things to go smooth, and you always
Wanna be
even when
kind.
things are red flags, it's easy, looking back, say, well, that was weird, that's weird. But when
A
you're
lot
in
of
the
things
middle of it,
happen.
you've already spent thousands upon thousands, and you want to pull it across the finish line.
Yeah. So we
And
were doing what
so-
we thought was best.
Long story short,
It got to like 2:30 in the morning. She
Yeah,
said,
2 or
I'll
3
be
in the
there in 15 minutes. We
yeah,
never
and
heard
then
from
we
her.
waited, and I started texting when those really about an hour passes, 3 or 4 in the morning
She
now,
just
and it
disappears
just
pretty much.
ghosted. She never spoke again.
So we were worried that there was something going on.
happened,
Something was
'cause
wrong.
There was kind of drama in their life, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But so I reached out to the agency the next morning. Like, we went to bed about 4. I was up at 6:30. You can't rest.
We're trying to figure
And,
out if she's okay.
Yeah, see what's going on. And so I messaged the agency and don't really hear anything back at the beginning. And about 10 o'clock in the day, they finally messaged me back. And they're like, well, this is unusual. And, they're upset.
They're trying to go send someone to her house to
Yeah.
make sure that she's okay.
Yeah, and so there's kind of some back and forth. And we're like, we just don't know what to do. And we had some friends that come down to be with us, thought they were going to be able to take care of the baby. While they were traveling, it kind of went haywire. But so then,
yeah.
finally, I guess the afternoon, late afternoon, they messaged us and said, pretty much
Go
just
home.
said, you can go home.
Yeah, she's not. It's
they're
not
like-
gonna happen.
They said, you can wait. I think they said wait till tomorrow. They said just in case we're going to keep working, but it doesn't look good.
And what the problem was though with the whole thing, and we did not know this, but she had done it before. She had actually done it to another family the year, almost exactly to the day,
Yeah,
the year before, and had taken a lot from them. And we honestly just felt like there's a lot of different situations in adoption, but we honestly felt like we were being used
Yeah.
for money and
Yeah.
and things that we could give her.
And so
And support and whatever, and that's not the problem. That we want to help people, but it was very it turned pretty cruel pretty quickly.
yeah, and so we finished that day in
Area.
in that area, and the next morning we get up. I messaged one last time to the agency. I even reached out one more time to the birth mother, and it was nothing. And then the agency said, "Yeah, go ahead and go home." So that's what we did. And
the honest part, I've been pretty honest about it. We lost thousands of dollars. We lost about $20,000. So
probably about 25.
yeah, so we're just trying to be honest about that,
Yeah.
And I don't think that the way things are done sometimes in the adoption world can be always fair.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think we're
As far as
we're
money.
kind of the voice that you don't hear from a lot.
yeah.
Well, and then just being honest, we're literally getting on the on-ramp to get on the interstate, and I get a phone call that my grandmother died.
Yep.
Literally like 10 minutes into her. Well, we pulled out of the hotel, got on the on-ramp, and my phone was ringing on the on-ramp,
Yep.
and it was my dad. So that all happened in the middle
Coming
of this.
back facing everybody right away, funerals, that was tough.
Yeah, it was
because we
tough.
had all that. You built up
Immediately.
from that, and then all of his, the hurt
Yes.
of his grandmother, and
And
just
you
a
got
lot.
so many
and,
questions, and and I would be curious too.
Yeah.
We were gone for 2 weeks, come back and didn't have the baby.
yeah, we had
so
prepared. We'd had shower. Our families had threw us a shower. we had a
shower,
room
gender
fixed.
reveal. We had a nursery to come back
Everything was
to.
ready, and
Had
it
a lot,
was-
and I'll tell you. Can I just to bring some comedy to the situation?
if you-
What made me the most mad? We'd message her. She's I'm bringing. And so finally, she's like, "Yeah, I'll be there in like 30 minutes."
yeah, so, if you
So
think
I
of-
decide finally to take this pack and play out of the box in this hotel room. It's a two queen bed hotel room. So the gap between the bed is not very big, and I'm a big guy, and I'm fighting with this pack and play. But I've never put together a pack and play, and so I get this thing put out, And from that moment on, she never responded to me.
Yeah.
So I had to take that stupid
We
thing
had everything
back
out
apart,
ready for the baby
put it
at
back
like
in the
3
box.
or 4 in the morning. It
Yeah.
was the middle of the night.
I
So
was so mad.
it was awful. It was really awful. There's so
I
much
still
more.
want to blow up a pack and play.
He doesn't ever want to look at one again.
No.
But the thing about it is there was so much more that we could go in depth and tell you about how much worse it was and about how much
Yeah.
was taken from us. But we're not going to do that. Then
So,
we
yeah,
move on.
Fast
and,
forward a couple months.
in October,
Yeah.
we actually match again with someone out of this at another state. And
The baby was to be born.
a couple days ago was
January 18th was the original
the
due
original
date.
due date.
And we were told we were chosen by the birth mom because we'd went through that.
Yeah,
And that's
because
what we were told.
we had so much trouble before that she felt, just hurt for us and wanted us to have
And
a child. And this was, again, we agreed to be open with this birth mother
Mm-hmm.
and be in her life as
Yeah.
well.
And so, and I understand the birth mother, they have control, and they should. If they want
Yeah.
to parent their child,
If
that's
they can,
what
and
that's what
changing
should
their
happen.
mind doesn't bother
No,
us. It's the way it happened for us.
It's the way it happened. Yeah, it's that
That they were.
you
It was
feel
just
like
cruel to
every
us.
last penny you had
Was being drawn.
pulled
Yeah.
out, And so with this one, she didn't speak English, so we had to go through a liaison.
Yeah.
The way this happened, and because she spoke English but not great, so to make sure everything's legal and she understood everything, we hired a translator
Yeah.
and a liaison. That was through the attorney, and then we met with an attorney instead of an agency this
And
time.
the liaison had worked for the attorney for several years.
Yeah, almost a decade.
Yeah.
Never had a failed adoption, so we
There ain't problems.
felt really good about this one, and
So we go switch everything from girl because
to-
this one was a boy.
it's a
So
boy.
we switched it
all
all
new
over.
stuff. We're taking back things that we can that the tags
Because we
aren't
didn't
off
have as
of.
much
We're-
time, October to January.
Yeah, we're giving away stuff, trading stuff out, and so now we're ready for a boy. Now we have a whole new nursery, and so we're preparing, thinking it's a couple weeks out, and we're on Christmas break from work, from school, and
We go on a trip with our family.
yeah, we go to Pigeon Forge on the 30th of January.
Mm-hmm.
We took our little niece to the Comedy Barn in Pigeon Forge. We've talked about that on here before.
Yep.
We love the Comedy Barn. Well, we get back about midnight. We go to bed. We always have watch service, New Year's Eve service at our church.
Which was coming up that next
the
night.
next day. So we go to bed when we get home, and about 2:30,
We get a phone
we
call.
get a phone call from the liaison that says, the birth mother's having some pain. They're going to take you to the doctor, get checked out. Okay. Because she's been
They
to the
said they
emergency room
would.
a couple
Yeah,
times.
she's been a
just-
couple times.
So we didn't know. So,
And then they said they would let us know.
Let us
They would
know.
call us back.
yep. So through the night, a couple things happened. A couple times asking for money, just be honest.
Yeah, he was
Uh,
asking for money from us the entire time. It was supposedly supposed to be for her.
Yeah. And so, long story
So
short,
we sent it.
about a couple $100 extra there that night. But long story short, about 6:30, he messages and said she's dilated to 7, and this is like a 12-hour drive where we're going.
Yeah.
And so we throw our stuff together.
Quickly.
By
get on the road.
7:30, we're on the road. Nobody knew it. We're calling parents. Hey, somebody watch our dogs.
Yeah,
we're
we're trying to
leaving.
get it together.
Yeah, we're packing, and we leave. Drive straight. I don't. Besides
Barely
getting
s-
gas
yeah, barely
twice, I think we end up eating at the gas station. We never stopped and ate or anything. It was a straight drive.
And through this time, though, we were asking him. He calls us about like midday and says the baby's been born, and we're asking. He's like, we're trying to get pictures, and the lawyer encourages us to get him to FaceTime, so we can speak to the birth mother and
Yeah.
kind of connect with them. And he wouldn't.
He was always saying like,
He's making
they're
excuses.
sleeping, the baby's at the nursery, and and in the sense, it makes sense. The baby,
Yeah.
and
So we just tried not thinking about it
Yeah.
because we kind of gotten again trust.
yeah, and so we drive there. We get there. Like I said, 12 hours, so it was about 7:30 that night.
We're exhausted.
Yeah, we're killed, because we hadn't slept the night before. Somebody calls you at 2:30, you might be
I
going to
didn't
get a
go back
baby,
to sleep. Yeah.
and then 6, so you're not resting. And we go to the hospital. We walk to
Up
the labor and delivery.
The nurse's desk.
We give them the birth mother's name because our lawyer had sent all the paperwork.
Told us
we
what to
filled
do.
out our last of our papers. Everything. All our T's were crossed and I's dotted.
Tried to
And,
make sure this time.
he sent forwarded it to the social worker at the hospital. We go in, tell her the name, and she says, "There's no one here with that name."
Yep.
And
And then I asked
Whitney's like,
again.
are you sure maybe it's got an S on the end? And
Just
she
tried
just
to.
real firm. She says, there's no one here with that name. And we like, are you sure? And she says it like 3 times.
Yeah, really rude.
And so at that point, we're like, okay, one of two things has happened. We've made a mistake. It's the wrong hospital.
yeah, we were
something.
trying to figure out what we
Or
were
she's
doing.
changed her mind and they're protecting her privacy, which, again, that's within her right.
All she has to do is, all you might have to do is say it. If she
Yeah.
said, if that was what the point was, I'm fine
Yeah.
with that. That
So,
didn't bother us.
We messaged the liaison. We're like, hey, what's up? Because we
It
were
took
under,
a bit for him to answer.
we were under the understanding he was there with her. And,
at the hospital. Yep. We
And-
thought.
So we're in the waiting room in labor and delivery. Nobody else, just us, New Year's Eve. And just sitting there. We're like,
Yep.
what do we do? Because we didn't have a hotel because until the next day. Because
We were
thought
planning to stay at the hospital that night.
yeah.
With her.
And so we're just like, okay. So we're sitting there. Well, finally, the liaison messages us back. He's like, says something about like the social worker where it was a holiday, wasn't there, so they hadn't had the
they
formal,
wouldn't let us in.
the
yeah.
formal interview. So they were just, it's pretty much said they're just covering for her until they can sign till the birth mom can sign the paperwork with the social worker and everything be released. And he says he
go
comes
get
to
a
us.
hotel. Go get a
He comes
hotel.
to- yeah, he
oh,
comes
it's
to us.
fine.
And I kind of get firm with him. And I said, listen, do not lie to me. I told him. He said, oh, I wouldn't lie. And I said, okay. And I told him again. I said,
He
don't
said,
lie.
we'll take care of this in the morning.
Yeah, and he said, get a hotel, rest. And he said, the social worker should be there tomorrow, and they'll do the interview and it'll be fine.
And the birth mother hadn't answered me any.
No,
But I just assumed maybe it was because she had just had a baby. So
yeah. So we do that. We go to the hotel, and we're
and the lawyer calls. And
Yeah.
he is like, that story doesn't sound right.
yeah, he's mad.
He said they would still let you in. He said either one of two things has happened, and he said either this didn't happen or they're protecting her privacy because she's changed her mind.
Yeah, and so
we
then-
told him, if she changed her mind, we aren't going to be upset with anybody that changes their mind.
Yeah. So we, at that point, starts to sink in. Oh no.
Well, I
You
think
know.
we're scammed again.
Yeah, it's this is falling apart again. And
I was shocked.
Yeah, because we felt so good about this one, and so the next morning we get up. Liaison isn't messaging us; he's ghosted us.
Disappeared again.
We messaged the lawyer, and now he did respond back good that morning. Our lawyer did, and he's being ghosted too, and he's furious. Our lawyer calls.
He's checking with the hospital, and he
so
can't.
the social worker at the hospital, he gets hold of her, and she's on call because she's a contracted social worker. There's 3 area hospitals, relatively smaller town, and there's 3 area hospitals, and she's contracted and works for all 3.
Yeah.
And he, she kind of says the same thing, just real blunt. There's no one here with that name.
Yep.
And the lawyer's assuming now, okay, they're just protecting her privacy. And he's like, listen, he said, I understand HIPAA, I understand privacy. He said, but,
They told these people to come.
yeah, they told
we
these
were
people
told
to come. They told them to
because the
head this
liaison
way.
and her were friends.
Yeah. And so they need more. They need to know, is there a baby?
What's happening?
And she said, well, let me check. And
She couldn't tell us anything.
She couldn't tell us for sure. But what she comes back and says, she said, I can see all the hospital's records. And she said, I will tell you honestly, there's nobody in any area hospital with that name.
Yeah.
And so when he tells us that, we're just like, you have got
So
to
he
be
goes
kidding.
to tell us that he thinks that we have been scammed
Yeah,
by
and-
the liaison.
Yeah, and so what
They
we
have been taking money
what
for
we
months.
think now, and we're still processing this. Like we said, this is just a couple
It's
weeks
just
old.
it's just happened.
So is that maybe early on the birth mother changed her mind, and the liaison kept it going because he got desperate for money.
Yeah, because he had been messaging me for days about paying his electric
Yeah,
bill.
always. And we did-
I didn't hear from her. We heard from him.
Yeah.
She would talk to us some, but
Yeah, and we
they
really
stopped FaceTiming us.
our lawyer told us not to do that, so we didn't.
Yeah.
Everything went through the lawyer. He was paid.
Yeah.
He had a monthly salary that we sent in. The lawyer would forward to him.
Everything
The
was done
birth mother
legally.
had expenses that would be paid through the lawyer.
Yep.
Because like her funds, we're funding all that in addition to the fees of the lawyer, and so we'd paid all that again.
Yeah, he wanted more
Yeah, again,
than that.
even more this time.
Yeah.
This time we've spent
We 37.
37,000.
Yeah, that we have not seen back yet, which the lawyer is supposed to be
Some maybe.
giving us some back, possibly, or finding us another opportunity
Yeah, so
if
we
something
don't-
comes up. We don't know where that's going right
So
now.
in short, we're out about 60 grand.
But the thing is, we found out that this birth mother
Yeah, later,
didn't even
she
have
po-
the baby around there.
She posted pictures.
She did have a
on-
baby.
She posted pictures online. She did have a baby that day in another state.
Yeah,
A completely
that was
different
about 5
state.
hours away from that hospital that we were sent to.
So I think the decision, the lawyer told us that morning, okay, this is,
Criminal.
yeah, they said we're going to file criminal charges. So we spent the next day there compiling evidence, for lack of a better term. All our messages we're
Yeah.
screenshotting. We're sending spreadsheets of how much we spend, what we spend it on, this, that, and the other. And really what shows it wasn't just a last-second change of mind is that the liaison said, yeah, come to this hospital,
Yes.
on this day, and really she wasn't even at the hospital. She was in another
No.
state.
I think he probably
so
heard
it
that she
shows-
was in labor and just said, and
Yeah.
because she had been going to that hospital.
Yeah.
But I think
And
she
he
had
just
met,
made an assumption.
we think she met someone.
Mhm.
Either that was either I don't know if it's the birth father or if it's just a new boyfriend or something,
Yeah.
and she's went out of
But
state.
she was single.
Yeah. So we think that she has, and they've gotten out of state. The liaison was just playing
He just
on
kept it going to get all the money he could.
Because when we look back, there were little things he was saying about traveling. Like he was like, wait, just wait before you leave. But we were like, okay. He would say, wait. Then he would say, come.
Yeah.
It was just absolute crazy
And so
stuff.
finally when
Again, we
she's-
could go into so
yeah.
much detail, but
when
we won't.
she was dilated to 7, we're just like, well,
We
it's
need
a
to
12-hour
be
drive.
there.
We better leave.
We have to be there.
And
'Cause
so
we were
we did.
supposed to get the baby immediately.
Yeah.
but-
And so,
So
needless to
we're
say-
out a lot of funds, and we don't know. We honestly, at this point, we are still in the adoption game. We still have our home study, but we are.
we know it's going to have to come kind of from an untraditional.
Yeah,
route
we're
because of
gonna
money.
have to. We are open to adoption because we really we went into it because we want to make a difference. We want to help a birth mother. We want a child. We want, we think it's just adoption's a beautiful thing and
Yes.
it's just a great thing. But I didn't realize there's so many things wrong in the adoption world that I never knew about, and I went
things
down that
need
rabbit
fixed.
hole, and it just seems so many things. And we right now where we stand, we have a few somewhat grant money left, just simply because the way those grants work, you don't get them until after you adopt, so we didn't lose them, but we've lost a lot of money, so we're not able to put in for cases like we did
Yeah.
before.
Well, and it just doesn't. I don't think it's financially responsible to just say,
Keep
all right,
putting
we're going
in.
to keep sinking
Yeah.
tens of thousands
Yeah.
in.
Because we don't have that much money.
No.
That was money that we worked really hard, fundraising, saving, loans, grant, everything
Yeah.
was.
Pretty much any avenue we could.
We worked
It's pretty
for
much
it,
all
and our
our-
families worked hard.
It was
to get
our
that.
savings. It was
Yes,
our grants.
savings.
It was stuff, people donated.
So
you
it affected a lot of people, and it's really affected our families. They were really hurt.
Yeah.
And because they're hurt for us, but they're also just really hurt about what happened. So we don't know where we're going next with this. We hope that something comes up. Maybe someone that wants to do an adoption plan will call us and say, "Hey, I hear you guys are adopting. Would you want to adopt my child?" Or we'll get a case that's within our price range because we're at the bottom right now.
Yeah.
So we're kind of at the bottom of the barrel looking up, and we
Yeah.
don't know where we're going. So
we're trusting that something's
Yeah.
gonna happen. We really feel that it's something we prayed about, and
we were meant to do.
We feel like this is an area we're called to. There's a lot of why is this or why that, but here's the thing: at the end of the day, we have a great life.
Yep.
We've enjoyed it the best we can. You're stuck in these cities away from home. You're like,
Oh, it's hard.
so we're just like, well,
without
let's-
your family, because our
let's-
families work, and it's hard
So
for
right,
them to
let's
go.
let's do something.
Yeah.
So we're always looking for things to do.
I'll say this
Um,
real quick. One of the biggest questions I get, and I want to address this really quick, maybe if someone hears it this way. I've had a lot of inbox questions through Facebook, and a lot of questions through people I don't even know
Yeah.
who've asked us, well, why don't you foster? It's the first question we get. And we've tried to foster.
Yeah. Here's the thing with the foster system, just to sum it up. It's a great thing.
It is
It's a-
amazing, and
it's
we
a-
tried.
Yeah. But the goal of the foster system and the social workers, and this is mandated by law, is to always try to reunify with the mother.
And we want to adopt.
Yeah,
We
and
want
so-
a child.
We don't feel like if we honestly go into it saying, "Oh, we're doing this to adopt,"
But
you're
it's not
working
fair.
against the system,
And it's not
and
fair.
so. One, it's not fair to the birth
We
mother.
feel like
if
we're
she's
lying
trying
to
get,
them.
if she's trying to get her kid back, honestly, and some do and some don't. But also, it's really not fair to our emotions to say, all right, we're going to raise this kid. It could be for years and years.
And
And
I'm also,
then-
when you don't have a child and you think you're going to adopt one, because we got in that situation before. We thought we were adopting
Yeah.
the child, and then it was a whole nother situation that
Yeah.
we were lied to about, so we didn't get to. It's just it was hard.
Yeah, it's emotionally draining.
It was so hard, and it devastated me, and
Yeah.
it took me a really long time to get over it.
Yeah, I think that was really what put the bad taste in my mouth. For a
Yeah.
while, I didn't want kids.
Yeah.
And, I still kind of have some PTSD from that, I think.
It's been hard for us.
But,
we went through a lot. We went through 2 times of fostering. So
And so, but at the end of the day, it's not a system set up to be able to adopt.
no,
It's
you
designed to be.
can adopt,
Yes.
and people do all the time,
Yeah.
but you just don't know.
But the system is designed for you to take care of that baby and love and nurture the baby, which they need and deserve until the mother gets on her feet.
And we're not saying that. I'm not saying that's something I never would do. I just feel like as a woman that doesn't have a child and hasn't had a child, when your goal is to have a
We
child,
want to be parents.
and you want to be parents, I don't feel like I couldn't deal with that again, because, and not just that, but when we were doing it, we went through some really dangerous situations with the families that we were
Yeah.
involved with, or one of them especially, but
Yeah.
it got a little dangerous because there's drugs involved a lot of times, and it was just and then the area we live, it was a local situation. It was just a lot. So we have tried that, and we are not saying we'll never do that again. I don't know where we'll go. I'm not saying that, but right now at this time, we've tried that. That is not the avenue we feel like we want to go in. So
Yeah.
that's one question I get.
Yeah, so that's not something we at this point we
We
wanna
may
do.
eventually. I don't know what.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
We'll
I
just have to
think
pray
if
about
that's
it.
ever something we go down, I want to go into it with intention of
that
we're
just
fostering.
You're fostering, not an intention to adopt. Because
Yeah.
both all the times we did it, we were going in with intentions
Yeah,
to
and
adopt,
that's just not.
and
that's not
it
the way
got
it's designed.
really, really bad,
Yeah.
really quickly.
So
And then the second question I get a lot of, and I'll tell it real quick, is we've had a lot of people ask about like surrogacy and things, and those are things that would be really interesting, but they're thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
So
like-
that's one reason we just cannot afford to do that.
yeah,
And I've never been told that I absolutely can't have children. We both have never been told we can't have children. There's nothing. I just have some issues, but they're nothing that can't be fixed.
Yeah.
It's just it's thousands of dollars, and
We
it's
went that
uncertainty.
route. We
We
spent
tried that
thousands
for a
on that at the
while,
beginning.
and then we just honestly felt like adoption was the right for us, and we still feel that way right now at this point, that we want to adopt and not really so much go into the other
Those two,
avenues.
right,
So
yeah.
I just want to address that real
Yeah.
quick, because I get that.
So, with that said, we just wanted to update everybody there. This isn't really going to be an adoption podcast, and not something we're going to talk about.
because we get a lot of questions.
Yeah, we just wanted to get that out there on this first one, because honestly, a lot of the travel that we've done lately has been centered around that.
Yeah.
But we've also done some leisure travel.
Yes,
And so
we have.
really quickly, as we start to wrap this up, we want to do a quick rundown where we've been in the last year and a half since we did this last podcast.
Yep.
Some really fun stuff for some unique reasons. Some for
But
adoptions.
we always make fun out of everything.
Yeah. Well, we've done some on our adoption trips. One, Whitney's cousin has found love, and we took her across the world to find love.
In England, yeah.
Yep. Whitney's brother has joined the Marines like
We're
Gomer
traveling to
Pyle,
see
so we went and saw Gomer. So just this quick rundown. We went to London, England,
Yes,
not
great.
London, Kentucky.
London, England. Great trip.
Yep. So we have our passports now. We're ready to rock and roll.
Yep.
But we went to London, England. That was a great trip. And a lot of these we're going to come back and do individual podcasts about those trips and do our top 5 list. We've been to Baton Rouge. We've been to New Orleans before. We've been to Baton Rouge in Louisiana. Went to 2 churches down there. Yeah. And
Very different.
very different churches. One by accident. We went. We did kind of a Midwest tour. We went to
Yeah.
Missouri to see Josh. We've been to Arkansas. Went to a Walmart museum. We'll talk about it at some
That was
point.
cool.
Yeah, that was cool. Fayetteville. Walmart owns Arkansas, by the way, if you don't know that. They
Pretty much,
they pretty
yeah.
much have sponsored everything.
I see Sam Walton everywhere.
Yeah, and every
Which
exit
was
is,
cool, though.
the Walmart distribution center, the Walmart museum, Walmart headquarters,
Yeah.
Walmart amphitheater. this
And
is-
traveling too, not just Walmart. We got to see some other cool places. We got to see Clifton's, one of his favorite podcast people.
Retro Rick,
Yeah, we
YouTuber.
stopped there. That was
We got saw
fun.
that in Arkansas.
That was fun.
That was cool. His
The-
new
the-
video game
we
store.
got to go through Chattanooga and see not Chattanooga,
Memphis.
but Memphis and see the biggest Bass Pro and Graceland and all. There's
saw-
so many things to talk
Saw the
about.
Lorraine. So we're going to talk about all those.
Had barbecue.
We went to Oklahoma, Kansas,
Yep.
knocked a couple of states. Went on some Indian reservations.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Branson.
Oh, I
Went to
liked
Branson.
Branson. That was cool.
was a fun trip. Longer drive than I anticipated. We went to San Diego to see Josh. That's
Yeah,
Whitney's
San
brother.
Diego. Yep.
San Diego, beautiful.
And we will be going again. So
Very different than the northern part. They're just a few dozen miles from
Yep.
Mexico. Southern part of the state, absolutely beautiful. Loved that part of the state of California. We took a New York City Christmas trip for our anniversary.
I loved
we
it.
did we did that one.
Very cold.
But we
Bus
also
tours and
we did very cheap. So this is the one picture I want to show you this time, and we'll be incorporating a lot of pictures in the next episodes. But I'm gonna pull this up right here. We took a bus tour, and
It was
just real quick,
really
so the
cold.
screen may look a little crazy just for a second here, and
it was
so
fun. But
this-
make sure you bring the right clothes.
this picture that you're seeing, we went really spur of the moment. We had enough airline points for free flights up there and back, and we had hotel points where we had like a hotel in Times Square. It was like for $70 a night. So it was a spur of the moment. We're like, hey, let's do this for our anniversary. It's something Whitney always wanted to see. Everybody's watched Home Alone and
Yeah.
all these Christmas movies centered in New York. We wanted to see the Rockefeller tree, so we went and done
Yeah.
that. Our anniversary is the 18th of December, so we done that. So we're like, what's the best way in a few days to see all these lights? We're like, let's do a night bus tour.
Yeah.
Well,
A rooftop
yeah,
night bus tour.
yeah. So we're on this double-decker bus up top here. You see in this picture, and you can see it on the screen now. I don't go around usually with a face mask, but it was so cold. We've been walking around. My face was froze.
Yes.
And Whitney had a scarf. You can't really see it in this picture, and that was helping her. Well, I go to this little street vendor right by the entrance bus, and he's got one.
Left.
He's got one left.
It
it's
is.
not. Oh, it's not in a sealed bag. And I was like, I'm gonna freeze if I'm not. So I done it. I bought it.
He was desperate. We were
Well,
desperate.
I put it on, and right here, I think you can't really see the situation and looking in my eyes right here, but you know that's not a smile. And my face was itching so bad.
Yeah,
I
you-
don't
you
know
were
what was
broke
on that.
out,
I took that off. I
red.
was red. I was itching.
Hey, I was like,
And-
he's got sensitive skin anyway.
Yeah, so that was chaos. So that was a fun trip. We went to Greenville, South Carolina. That's been voted year after year one of the best
That was
small
fun.
towns. That's a growing
It was a
city
good
that's
birthday
beautiful.
trip.
Yeah, so we've done a lot.
We went to the Bahamas too.
Yeah,
out of
we
New
went on
York.
another cruise
Out of New York on a massive boat.
So all these are episodes that we'll be doing.
I
we're
had a
looking,
new niece and nephew too.
Yep.
Yeah.
we're estimating this season will be like last 10 to 12, maybe go longer, seeing what topics we come up with to talk about. But in addition to what we've already said, and we're going to go deep dive into those, we have trips planned. We're going definitely going to Vegas
First, in April.
on spring break.
Yep.
Grand
Grand
Going
Canyon.
to see the Grand Canyon. We have some friends that's not seen the Grand Canyon, so we're going to do that. Vegas is always a cheap place to fly into, cheap hotel rooms.
And we do our trips pretty cheap
Yeah.
because we got some cool ways we'll
So we'll
reveal
share
to you later.
We'll share those with
If you want to travel cheap, we can help you.
Yeah.
Oh, you also got your travel. Yeah.
So some news we're going to share right here at the end. We've got a trip planned for this summer. We're still kind of working out details if we're going to do a cruise then or. But we're going to California to see Josh
Try to
again.
do LA maybe.
Yeah, kind of
some things like that.
see all that, see how fun it
Hollywood.
is to sit in the LA traffic.
Yeah.
So all that's coming soon. Next year we've got big trips planned. We've started preliminary stages of planning a trip to Israel, but with things right
Not
now we
sure.
don't know.
It's
So
in limbo.
probably this summer we'll kind of set that in stone.
Yeah.
If we're going to do that or knock off the majority of the rest of the states that we need.
Just got a few. Not too
Yeah, we don't have many left, and that's something we definitely want to do. But the rest of the season, I know I want to talk about and something. So I'm telling Whitney this for the first time. I want to talk about bucket lists. Where do we want to see? While we're still young enough to go and do. Also, something we've talked about is I would love to interview other couples that love to travel, that have traveled a lot. I want to know some of your favorite places.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we're on YouTube, if you comment or if you want to comment on our podcast feed, whatever, and just tell us, where do you like to go? What's your travel tips? And then the last thing, I guess, as we get ready to close here, went a little longer than I had originally anticipated. We're at 40 minutes, so that's not too bad.
No, we had a lot to say.
Yeah, a lot to say. So we're there's something I've always wanted to do, and I've always wanted to be a travel agent.
Mm-hmm.
And we love traveling, and I guess one of my favorite things to do, something that makes me happier, and I know for some people it's stress-inducing, so it doesn't make sense. I know Whitney's not a big planner. I love planning a trip.
Yeah.
Not just saying, hey, I want to go to, New York City. I love the details.
Yeah.
I love
You do.
I love researching. When we're going to buy something, I research it for months. It's just it's what I like to do. I don't know why that gives me some sort of thrill. But I love looking at hotels. I love looking at flights, and I've kind of learned
You do it
how
for
that
people
works.
all the time.
Yeah, I do it for people all the time. So something I've done is took the stuff that I need to be a travel agent.
Yeah.
So that's something we enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
We enjoy traveling. So if you are interested, shoot me a message. I think something I didn't realize when I went down this path is kind of how a travel agent works. And so, in short, it doesn't cost the customer any money.
Yeah.
Like I always thought, I've heard people say, hire a travel agent. I'm like, I don't have the extra money to hire a travel agent.
Yeah.
But that's not how it works. So,
Doesn't cost you anything.
no, it doesn't cost anything.
Get up with us.
Let's say Whitney booked a cruise and it was $1,000, and she went to, let's just say, Carnival's website. She's going to pay Carnival $1,000.
Same thing.
If she books it or if she books it to a travel agent. The difference is that money is already booked in to pay a commission to a travel agent. That's when you book a hotel. That's when you book flights. That's when you a cruise, especially theme parks. All that's there. And so the only thing is a travel agent will do all the planning, takes the worry off your mind, sends you an itinerary, and they're going to get kickback from the companies.
Yeah.
You don't. So if you are interested in traveling,
We'll have to make
enjoy
some
our
stuff to maybe you'll have some pages and things that we can share
if
later.
you've enjoyed our podcast or know where we've been, and you want to go on some of those trips or even just a small family vacation, give me a holler.
Got any questions?
Yeah, most of you I know is listening to this. Reach out to us, call me. But if you don't, if this is if you don't know me personally and you're hearing this for the first time, the email is thekentuckycouple@gmail.com. thekentuckycouple@gmail.com. Email me and tell me what you're interested in, and we'll get
Set
the
you
ball
up.
rolling. Yeah. So that's a little weird. I don't like self-promotion, really. That makes me uncomfortable.
But he's really good at it. I'll give him that. He's a great traveler.
Yeah. So we just love traveling. We like having fun. That's how, that's our hobby, I guess you would say. I tell Whitney, I either like to be home or I like to be gone.
Yeah.
I like to be
He
really.
doesn't want any trips right here. He
I don't
wants to
want
go.
to, I don't want to drive an hour away and eat supper. I want to be gone.
Yeah.
If not, I'd rather just be at the house,
Yeah.
But if you like to travel or would like to start traveling, give us a holler.
And we always say, do it.
Yeah, do it. Go.
Yeah.
Go do something. And here's the way we're not rich.
No.
I don't anticipate we'll ever be rich.
No.
And hopefully this adoption goes through and we have a baby to hopefully leave something to
Yeah.
other than these podcasts. But regardless, the way I see it, when I'm on my deathbed, I'm probably not going to worry about man, I wish I had a nicer car. I wish I had, a bigger
I
house.
wish I had better experience.
But what I will think is,
Yeah.
I can think back to our anniversary in New York,
Yeah.
or our birthdays in Vegas, or
Mhm.
seeing the redwoods or the Grand Canyon. Those are things that nobody can take from you. You'll always remember those. So we love to travel, and if you're listening to this, you either are supporting us, which we thank you, or you love to travel, and we want to help people do that
Just
the
wanna
best they can. So that's all I have, Whitney. Anything else for you?
I'm good.
All right, guys. We'll see you later.
Bye.
See ya.